Early 2024, I was in the shower, washing my hair, detangling, all of those things, and I got thinking about my shedding. So I thought I will conduct an experiment as I do. I felt like I had a bit more shedding than normal, which was okay for me because 2024 was my year of postpartum shedding. I don't speak much about it, my shedding, because it's just a normal part of life for many women who have children, right? It's like being stressed or not eating well or being severely ill. So many things can cause more than usual hair loss. And those things just mean that we are alive. So I didn't worry much about it, nor dwell on it, nor make videos about my postpartum shedding. Maybe I should, I don't know. I just didn't. I feel like I talk a lot about my baby, and so you guys just know that I have a baby. Anyway, that wash day, I thought about this experiment, a deep dive into my hair with the following objectives. Number one, how much shedding did I receive week after week? We all know that shedding is normal, right? But I wanted to see how much and if it was consistent every wash day. Number two, more importantly, I wanted to tell if all of the hairs were shedding or breakage to see what part of my routine needed to be tweaked. Number three, I wanted to assess the ends of my hair for splits, for single strand knots, and all of that. And then number four, I wanted to carry out other physical tests just to determine the health of my hair. So I proceeded to collecting my shedding over the course of 4 wash days, two in December and two in January of 2025, December 2024. I wanted more than one sample so I could see my hair at different time points, and I also wanted several strands from each sample so my experiment was randomized and would accurately represent my whole head. So 4 samples in total. Every last strand of hair was collected from those 4 wash days, each with notes that could potentially explain any differences in the amount of shedding collected, which made sense, and maybe explain any discrepancies in the individual strands from each sample. So this one was collected after 1 week, but I used I used a new combo, right, with my styling, and I received a lot more shrinkage, and so I got a lot more shedding. This one, regular schmegular wash day, nothing remarkable, right? And then the third one, January, I washed my hair after 1 week, nothing remarkable. So the shedding was a lot smaller than that one I was talking about with the leave-in. And then the next one was after 3.5 weeks of not washing my hair, collected it all. Obviously, we have a lot more shedding, but a lot of it was also not shrunken. So it just looks like a lot of hair, but it's just stretched hair versus shrunken hair because I had blow dried my hair. So 4 samples in total. I also collected this one strand from a fifth wash day. It was surprisingly the perfect shed hair, right? Look at it, it's just so beautiful. I thought, my goodness, this is amazing. Look at that. The same kind of length from top to bottom. It had the bulb, everything. I'm like, beautiful. I will keep that and I will just use that as one of my references. Then I look at the bulb here. That is the one end with the bulb over there. And I follow the length of the strand several times with my eyes, with my fingers, and then with a magnifying glass, which didn't really do much. Anyway, I followed the whole length because I wanted to be sure that, there weren't any uh, physical damage to the hair. Then I got all of the hairs out of the bag and soaked it in some water to help separate carefully so I wasn't causing any breakage. When I tell you that this was the most tedious thing that you can imagine, I really should have just, separated the strands on wash day, one after the other, instead of collecting it all together like I did and then doing one big project at the end of the experiment. However, doing it that way, separating one after the other would have meant that I wouldn't be able to see visually all of the shed hairs in one clump and compare each collection to the others. Oh well, I struggled hard and even got a pair of tweezers to help, but I could neither control how much tension I was putting on the strands with the tweezers, nor was I able to actually feel the strands for any irregularities. Look, if it was proven too difficult to separate, I would leave that clump altogether and I'll grab another clump of hair and start to separate. I needed to make sure that I wasn't breaking any strands. So I spent the time that it took, and it took a lot of time. It ended up taking 2 days to get everything done. At some point I thought, I'm just gonna, I can't do this. But I'm glad to announce that I did not give up. Yeah, so if you ever do anything like this, please collect and organize all of the hairs on wash day, one wash day after the other. Don't bunch them all up together and then try to do this big, I don't know, production on the day that you are conducting the experiment. Some pieces got stretched during this process, but no strands were broken. I made sure of that. My first observation was how difficult it was to untangle my hair when it was dry. Obviously, we all know that if we have textured hair, your best bet is to detangle your hair wet and with conditioner in it, right? But it was cool to observe in real life. And then number two, my second observation was how easy it was for my hair to knot up. Again, yes, if you have hair that is very coily, like my hair is, single strand knots are your friends. You just cannot get divorced from them. Well, in addition to dryness, right? However, it was really cool, even though it was annoying, it was cool to see just the process of how quick, how easy it was for my hair to tangle up. As I was trying to untangle it, some strands would just go knot up. And then when I go to undo the knot, I am in fact redoing the knot and strengthening the knot. So yeah, it was really annoying to see the process of untangling my hair, because even when I was seeing what I was doing, I was being intentionally gentle, and I wasn't standing in the shower, just on the clock, my hair knotted right before my eyes. All my efforts to undo the knots as they formed just assisted the whole process. That's how easy it is for my hair to knot up. Okay, so my first tests were physical tests. I did the pole test in one hand, and then I also, grabbed one end of the strands that was secured to the tape and then pull my hair. See, the goal is to see if the strands break easily mid-shaft. This would indicate fragility. Hair elasticity is a key indicator of the health of the hair, and it reflects the strength and the condition of the strand. Healthy hair should have a good amount of stretch, allowing it to return to its original length without breaking. And its dry state, curly hair should stretch about 30 to 50% of its length, depending on the curl, right? If the hair is dry or damaged, it may not stretch much at all, or it might break when stretched. This is a sign that the hair lacks moisture, it is severely dehydrated, or it has suffered structural damage from maybe heat styling, chemical treatments, or just regular schmegular wear and tear, or environmental stressors. All the strands tested stretched and bounced right back without breaking. 100% of all my hair strands stretched a good amount and then bounced back, so that was great. Then I moved on to visual inspection. I started with looking at the lengths of the strands. Look how long this one is compared to the others in this group. This many short hairs among a fewer long pieces can be, or shall I say, is a sign of breakage. Let's move on to this next group. The same thing. Something is causing my hair to break. Going by the diversity in length, you think that all the strands belong to several people, but nope, all mine, collected on the same day. Look how short some of these are, like this one in particular. Well, all of the hairs from four different samples look exactly the same. A few long pieces, but then more shorter pieces than longer pieces. The bulbs, when I found them, were intact, and the thickness and smoothness of the strands were the same, but so many fewer so many shorter pieces, which we do not like that. We don't like that at all. Next, I assess the ends of each strand for clean cut or tapered tips, which are an indication of healthy hair. Split ends are a sign of damage. We all know this and can be observed as splits in the strands of the hair. I looked at each strand carefully and then through my camera. And according to research, split ends are caused by splitting of the hair fibers, often due to mechanical damage from brushing or combing, bleaching, hair-related straightening, heat-related straightening, exposure to sunlight, and so on and so forth. In total, I found 2 strands with splits in them. The splits hadn't flicked out like ribbons yet. They were eventually going to get there. And I'm just giving you a close-up look at these ends. So, looking at the numbers, 6.25% of my hair strands have splits in them, and 93.75 did not have splits in them. Moving on to the hair length. Since I noticed that the main issue right now with my hair is breakage, not splits or knots, I decided I wanted to know exactly how much breakage I was receiving. So that 1 strand from that random 5th wash day measured about 37 centimeters. It had a bulb to it on the other end, so I knew that it was shedding and not breakage. And a close-up at the end shows that it is tapered, which is fine. We want that, right? Remember that the tip of a 36 centimeter hair is about 3 years old and has gone through just many washes, styling, snagging, pulling, tugging, prepping, detangling, everything. The root of the hair is newer and may have different properties, so some tapering is fine and maybe should be expected even. Then we moved on to one sample where I found a 44 centimeter long hair, right? I thought this can be the ideal candidate that I can compare others to. And after measuring in all the samples 1, 2, 3, 4, here are the results. Looking at the longest hairs column, we can agree that my hair is breaking because of the wide discrepancy in length. So the strands grow, something happens that makes them break off just randomly. And looking at the shorter strands from each section, some of them don't even have bulbs, so they are breaking off and leaving behind whatever is left in my scalp. Next, the thickness of my strand. Look, I've always known that my hair strands are fine, but this put things into perspective. My strands are very fine. Nothing good or bad here, it is just what it is. I do not have a ton of hair, density-wise, and I have fine strands, and I'll take what I have. Then I went again and had a closer look at my ends. Well, at both ends of the strands to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and I wasn't. I'm just showing you what the ends look like of all the strands. I looked carefully looking at the ends, and all the dots that you see are where the bulbs are when I was looking out for bulbs. Some of them I looked for bulbs, I found them, and then I dotted the tape just to make sure that I could count them. And I did this for every strand of sample 4. Not for all of them, but for sample 4, I made sure that I looked intentionally for the bulbs. Next, I did a tactile assessment. I ran my fingers along the strands of my hair. Healthy hair feels smooth. Frizz, dryness, and a rough texture, can suggest damage. And I'm showing you just 1 strand, and it was quite remarkable. It was just amazing, which is great. However, I could tell the direction the cuticles laid, what side or was the root that would have gone in my scalp, or what side was the end, by just feeling it. So I thought that was quite interesting. No resistance when you're pulling the strand down the length of the hair from the roots to the tip. And that just felt great to feel, right? The hair felt smooth. There's no other way to describe the feeling. It was smooth, no roughness from end to end, and that was great. My next test was to actually determine if I received more shedding than breakage or the other way around. So I chose that 4th sample I was talking about. Remember that there are 8 strands per sample. I counted 6 strands with bulbs on them. That means that on this wash day, I had 75% shedding and 25% breakage, which sounds ideal, right? But most of the strands are too short to be falling off. Why are they falling off? Okay, hair shedding is a natural part of the hair growth cycle, typically involving the shedding of 50 to 100 hairs per day. We all know this. However, several factors can cause an increase, in the hair shedding where hairs are uprooted from the scalp. Here's a look at these factors backed by research. One of them is called the telogen effluvium, a condition where more hairs than normal enter the shedding phase, and this can be caused by severe stress, major surgery, severe illness, and then we have nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalance from pregnancy, menopause, thyroid problems. We have scalp conditions like fungal infections. We have psoriasis, dermatitis, mechanical stress from things like tight ponytails, tight braids, hair extensions, genetic factors, and so on and so forth. Some of these may explain why I have breakage and why some of the shedding are short hairs, right? I've been pregnant, I had a C-section, my hormones have just not regulated yet. I have not slept in, I do not remember how long. However, I'm going to do the following things so that this doesn't continue, or so that at least it doesn't get worse. You know what I mean? And as my body heals, my hair can start to heal. Number one, I'll keep reusing my parts. To be honest, they make life easier. You know exactly where to go to begin anything you want to do with your hair. Number two, I'll go back to finger detangling. I have finger detangling videos on the channel. I will eliminate tools and I'll just do my fingers from now on. And I'll keep you posted how it goes. Number three, I will keep pre-pooing. I pre-poo. This is a regular thing I do. If I've gone about 10 days without washing my hair, I don't even think about it. I just pre-poo, and I believe there's at least one pre-poo video on the channel. My baby is such a busy person that my wash days are getting extended every month, right? So I know that I will be pre-pooing more and more. Number four, I will stop using my hair clips. The teeth in them, especially since I use the same parts several times a month, those teeth are able to cause mechanical damage to the strands on the outside of the section that gets clipped. So unless I find something, clips that are smooth without teeth, I will use my scrunchies in the shower to hold my hair up in sections. Number five, I will be more consistent with my routines. And number six, most importantly, I will give my body the time that it needs to heal from my incredibly long pregnancy, my C-section, having a NICU baby, zero sleep, and having my baby in my care 24/7. TMI, but my cycle is still irregular and I've been on and off blood pressure medication. Look, these last 2 years have been rough on my body, so I'm not bothered much, right? And my hair is doing fine. One day I'll sleep through the night. Today is just not that day, and that is fine. There's just no way I would have reached these conclusions about my hair without conducting this experiment. I would have thought that all of this was shedding, but it is not. I have more breakage than shedding. The good thing is that there are very, very, very few split ends and practically no single strand knots. So my hair is fine and I am happy, and thank you so much for coming along. If you missed the epiphany that resulted in my switching shampoos to a cream, you can watch the experiment video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.